Hey babes, I'm Mother Dearest and welcome back to Off the Script Parent. Hey, so today's episode is all about rules for no reason. Those pointless, arbitrary, because I said so rules that make kids' eyes roll so hard they can see their own brain. For real, we all grow up with a few of these, because I said so, my house, my rules. My mum's fave was do as I say, not as I do. And she did also set that you can't swear until you've got kids of your own, then you've got cause to swear. I don't think she was banking on me having a kid at 15, because nothing says trusting relationship like shutting down a child's curiosity. So today we're going to flip the script on that carbon copy parenting and talk about why pointless rules actually undermine your authority and how to set boundaries that kids actually respect. Kids don't hate rules. Sounds weird, right? But let me tell you how I know this from my own experience. When I was 14, I was living at a children's home in South East London. The staff were all really great people and our rooms were decent. Yeah, we had rules and curfews, but we were also very troubled kids who just wanted to rebel. We knew we could just fuck off out whenever we liked by setting off the fire alarm because the doors would unlock. I went missing for like a week straight, probably more than once. And I ended up staying in a trap house. So yeah, that was great. And now I get anxious going to the shop past 5 p.m. in fucking November. But the point is, after a few days, it got old. I actually missed not having to decide when things happened, sorting out a way of getting food, clean clothes, and not sleeping in a bathtub with a sleeping bag. Thinking back, I don't actually know where the fuck that came from. Fuck me, I have made some questionable choices in my youth. But I missed the routine and the rules and the safety of it. So what about these pointless rules? Kids can follow rules when they make sense, but when they don't, it's random, inconsistent, or just because they stop respecting the rule and the person making it. Why? Because children are mini lawyers, and even if they don't have an official demand avoidance type diagnosis, like my bad bitch self, they are still wired to be professional loophole seekers. If you give them a rule for no reason, they will pull at that thread until your sanity fucking unravels. Example, no snack after 6 p.m. Why? Because bedtime. Okay, but bedtime's at 9. Okay then, so why am I starving at 7:30 and suddenly allowed to eat at 7:55 on weekends? Like, they will find the cracks in bullshit faster than HMRC will bill you for the 2p you owe them. Section 2. What pointless rules do to kids. This is the part people miss. Rules don't just piss them off, it actually shapes how your kid sees you, the parent. Here's what's happening. They stop believing you know what you're doing. Kids can sense when you have no conviction in what you're saying. They know when the rule is just you reaching for control because you're stressed, and they prey on weakness. They learn to hide, sneak, or lie. If the rule isn't logical, they won't follow it, and they'll work around it. And you might try and rationalise this to them by saying, well, when you leave home, you'll have to follow the law and rules at work, blah, blah, blah. But do you, always? Like, never pulled a sickie, never taken a carrier bag without paying? Never flashed an oncoming car to let them know about a speed trap, because fuck them bitches. If not, I don't really know how you've ended up on my podcast, to be honest. But the point is, whilst this list isn't exhaustive, us adults break rules too. We break rules because we think they're bullshit, or we don't respect those who made them. So it feels a bit hypocritical to respect it from our kids then, no? Why parents make pointless rules? No shade. Do you remember wanting to do or have something and you'd wait until your mum was watching her soaps or on the landline? Strategic as fuck, wasn't it? Because we knew 9 times out of 10 they'd mouth yes or just flap and nod at us. We knew they didn't have the capacity to think properly and they just wanted us to fuck off. It's the same with these nonsense rules. We're overwhelmed, we need to regain control, we're bloody tired and the rule is actually about us needing a minute, or we're just repeating what our parents did. And parenting is hard, like really fucking hard, and the more you care about your kids, the harder it is. Sometimes the rule is just code for stop touching me, shouting and climbing on the back of my sofa before I walk blindfolded into fucking traffic. But the good news is, you don't have to give them less rules or relinquish control, but we probably do have to stop saying rules, I know. The difference between a boundary and a rule. Boundaries protect people, rules protect power. Let me explain. A boundary sounds like, you can't hit your sister because people deserve to feel safe in this house. You need to sleep by 9 p.m. because your brain and body need a rest. Screens off at 8 p.m. so your brain can unwind. Reason, logic, safety. A bullshit rule sounds like, don't do that. Give me your phone. because that's how it's done, or end of discussion. Now, whilst I'm not really sure why in 2025 we still have this notion that kids are somehow less than adults, but if your spouse, boss or friend spoke to you like that, I'm hoping you would tell them to fuck off. In my experience, there's seldom any pushback when you steer kids using boundaries, not rules, apart from my Alicia, but she's a rare breed, that one. I'll cover more authority challenging kids in a bit. How to make and maintain order that kids actually respect. Okay, so you might be thinking, cool, I now have to make some chart for my fridge, have a family slogan or a family meeting. I mean, you do you, but apart from the last one, I'd rather shit in my hands and clap, to be honest. And it's not time nor energy consuming to implement this strategy. Give the why. Kids follow rules when they know the purpose. This shouldn't be a TED talk, just one sentence, maybe two. We don't slam doors in this house because it damages frames. We limit screen time because your brain needs a break. Stay consistent. If the boundary only applies when you're in a bad mood, it's not a boundary. It's punishing them for your emotional dysregulation. Negotiate where appropriate. We ain't trying to run a dictatorship here. If they want an extra 10 minutes, if they want to compromise, let them. It builds trust and autonomy. Blech. It builds trust and autonomy. It builds trust, or, oh my fucking Jesus Christ on a bike. It builds trust and It builds trust and autonomy. There is a real example of me doing this with my Jasper on Instagram. If you haven't seen it, fucking loser. Jasper usually goes to bed at 10 p.m. on a school night, but he wanted to do some Roblox event thing that was like 10 till 11. Now, I know a lot of people would just say a flat no because them's the rules, but we negotiated. We agreed on him doing his homework, having a few hours off screen, hanging out with us, and then he could go on his PC about 9 until the event. We discussed briefly why, which he already knew, and I asked him if he thought he'd still be okay to commit to working hard at school the next day. He either would be, or he'd be tired. But he'll learn from that experience because he doesn't like being tired, and if anything else, it would just help hammer home the point of why we have that boundary in the first place. Make sure the consequence matches the behaviour. So, really, it shouldn't be you shouted at your brother, so no iPad for a week. Jesus Christ, that is medieval. Just fix the thing that went wrong. You shouted at your brother, and you know that's disrespectful. What do we need to do if we disrespect someone? Cue the mumble of apologise. No, I said, what do you need to do when, not you need to go and. At school age, they likely know apologising is the remedy here. And the more they have to come to that solution on their own, the less you'll have to interject, and they'll just start doing it automatically. Make space for their opinion. Does this rule seem fair to you? We're staying on a theme from last week here, collaborative communication. We know it works best. Like, what would make this feel reasonable to you? You don't have to say yes, but asking the question helps build respect. Okay, so scripts for when you catch yourself making a pointless rule, because we've all done it. Try these instead. Okay, hang on, I said that too quickly. Let me rethink that. It teaches them adults recognise they can be wrong, can reflect and reconsider. Actually, let me explain why I said that. It teaches honesty. Mine was usually, I'm due on and I'm being a cunt. Sorry, not sorry. I'm stressed, so that sounded harsher than I meant. Here's the real boundary. It teaches emotional regulation. We've all spun around and set the wrong tone or the wrong thing has left our mouths. Let's make a plan that works for both of us. It teaches collaboration and cooperation. Real examples from my house. So I'm not perfect, I've never claimed to be, and I'm never going to be. I've definitely said, are you taking the fucking piss? To Alec, who's walked away from the kitchen after apparently rehearsing for the lead role in like George's Marvellous Medicine or some shit. I've made rules because I'm trying to cook dinner and I've got one kid telling me the longest story which doesn't really get off the ground for the first 3 minutes, one asking me questions about the meal which I can feel is heading towards I'm not going to like it, and the other one's winding the fucking dog up. But after I've told them gently, yeah fucking right, to get out of my kitchen before I lose my fucking mind, I always explain and apologise over the meal. And I let them question me back. I say let like I'd have any choice with Alicia, but that's how we've built respect. Demand avoidant or strong-willed ones. So some kids aren't going to accept the first explanation of the boundary, even if you're being kind and clear. And that's not usually defiance, it's just how their brains work. These kids tend to be big thinkers. They need logic, detail, fairness, and a sense of autonomy before their nervous system relaxes enough to cooperate. It's very common in bright, emotionally perceptive kids, as well as children with ADHD, autism, or some kind of PDA-style demand avoidance. They're not being difficult, although it fucking feels like it, I'm aware, but they're processing deeply. Checking the rules makes sense and protecting their sense of control, even if it does feel like a dressed up fuck off. So don't hit your sister because everyone deserves to feel safe in this house. It's usually enough for some kids. But these kids will probably clap back with, she doesn't because she's taken my charger again. Take a breath and explain. You know that's pissed them off and you'd be annoyed too. And they have the right not to have their stuff taken. But take a moment to expand to fit your kid. Right, but if I hit every person who moved my shit in this house, we'd all be in A&E, huh? Come rant to me first until you've calmed down, then go back and ask for it. This one works better for your hotheads. Do you see how it's harder for me to reprimand your sister for taking your stuff when you've just smacked her one? That works well with your justice-focused ones. Okay, but you've already handed out consequences to your sister now, so what do you think should be yours? Maybe I'll have that charger of yours for half an hour. If they know they're likely to lose the thing they wanted if they act poorly, believe me, it will make them stop. This is for the ones that are less empathetic, we'll say. So when my Chloe was about 15, she used to leave her charger switched on all the time. It used to drive me absolutely fucking batshit. We had young cats at the time and I was worried they'd chew through the fucking cable. I said, look, I've asked you quite a few times now to stop leaving your charger on. The next time I find that on, your charger belongs to me for the evening. Well, what do you know? She got home from school and, Mum, where's my charger? Babe, you don't own a charger today. She was pissy as fuck with me, especially as her phone died. But I'd already told her this is the case and I follow through when I say something. On my life, she never left that charger on again. Not even kidding. So the next time you catch yourself throwing out a random rule, just pause and ask yourself, does this protect them or does this just make my life easier for the next 5 minutes? Both answers are allowed. Sometimes we need to protect our peace, but ideally we want that as the exception. Not the rule. You see what I did there? Pun intended, and I totally kept it in on purpose. Kids don't need perfection. That's damaging too, and it's not real life. They just need clarity, consistency and respect, and more often than not, you'll find you'll get it back too. So thanks for listening. If you want to get in touch, you can DM me on Instagram. Fuck it, I've got to say this again. The Off the Script Parent Podcast, _ between each word. Is it underscore? It is underscore. Jesus Christ, I've forgotten what punctuation is. Or you can email me at offthescriptparent@gmail.com. I do also have the downloads for this week for your cheat sheet help pointers. So feel free to contact me if you would like those. And if you think you might benefit from my personalised support, my one-to-one parent guidance sessions are open. There's info again on the Instagram page. But until next time, set boundaries, break the rules, and stay off that old script. Much love, Mother Dearest.